We met first in 2014. That was when I think you had started Easyfix around that time. And we met at the India Kitchen Congress, where you were part of the panel discussion.
Yes, panel discussion. I remember that. And that was sort of my first meeting you. And I think since then to now, I have sort of been the only woman in the construction space. And it's exciting how the entire journey is seen it all from all the aspects of learning and developing. And great to know, get so much to know from you, Deepak, like from then to now, and how the industry overall is shaping up and things are happening.
But tell me one thing, when you started Easyfix, what was the original idea? What was the business model that you offered on day one?
I joined Easyfix after 18 months of its operations. I was working in Dainik Jagran at that time. The website was ready. There was a call center number. It was a 3-people team at that time, and the investors in the company were looking for a CEO.
Who
And
started?
it was started by Sandeep and Abhinav, and they were looking for a CEO. I joined it 18 months in the company, and the business model was very B2C, like with very limited resources that were available in the company at that time. So it was a very B2C business model, when it was like plumber, electrician, carpenter at your doorstep and things like that. So after I came on board, what I come from a mentality of ROI. Like my father is a businessman, his father was a businessman, everybody in our family is in business. But we're a very traditional business family, wherein we would say that, hey, if you are positive at one order or one product, if you're selling at profit, then you're selling all the other products as profit. But if you're not selling, if you're making loss at one product, then you're making loss at all the products. So that was some sort of a fixed mindset. Probably I had that at an order level, I had to make profit. So, we did in the very beginning a lot of radio ads, metro ads, cab branding, auto branding, a lot of other media that we spend money on. But when we saw the ROI, it was not something that I was able to connect with at a business CEO level. I was like, this is not making sense. Like, you went out on 95 FM, 7 ads today, you spent like 70,000. Like back in 2014, we did this. It was much cheaper then. And what you got like 5 leads. And those leads, they're not going to come back to you again. Maybe they'll forget you. They'll call for the plumber directly to your home. And that kept on going. Like, that went on for some time. We exhausted some money. It was still B2C. Just Dial became one of our biggest, source of generating leads. And it was many times we had to really understand that how is it sustainable? How are we going to make it scalable, replicatable, such that we are able to take a handsome salary home? But opportunities, I feel that it's not just for us, it's for everyone. That if you're at something and if you really have clear vision in terms of where you want to go, then you have to keep on exploring. Like, the opportunities do knock your door. If you have the right mindset and the right open mindset in terms of saying that, hey, whatever it is, let's explore how it goes. So it happened with us, like opportunities of IVLP. Easyfix got selected in 2012. After that, coming back, there were series of new opportunities, including the furniture business that we started. We said that, all right, Just Dial is one of the sources, but we want to get into furniture installation. And just before that, there was geyser installation that we did for one of the brands. And they saw our ad on Business World cover magazine. And it was just the history in 2012 to now, how things moved from starting from a very B2C approach of saying that, hey, no one in India offers at-home services. And there was literally no one at that time. And the idea was French. And the perception was very different that, oh, from a company, so it must be expensive. So we had to literally put the price at rupees 100,
Okay.
call for a visit. And then because the business has to make business sense, it has to be bottom line sustainable. And we moved out of the marketing gimmick of saying that, hey, lots of marketing, lots of consumers, to saying that, hey, we want to be an enterprise SaaS. And started developing our product accordingly, started developing our processes accordingly, started developing people, team, culture, sales channels, documentation, everything started to happen because we wanted to, our eventual goal, the vision got developed from a B2C company to being a B2B led organization, which was full of technology, able to work in. And in between, I mean, I think you must know Sukam and Dr. Kuvar Sachdev. Like,
Yes.
when I met him, he saw we were always good with PR, like we kept on doing some or the other. He saw our ad on Outlook Business magazine, and we happened to crack a meeting with him. We went to meet him, and he was sort of a turning point for me and for my team, wherein he said, Shaifali, it's difficult to get into B2B, but once you're there, then it changes. Then it changes because once you're there and you're doing a great job, then you're just there. And I was like, yeah, you know what, Mr. Sachdev, you're right. We were in business.
That's what you were looking for in the first place.
Yes. And when the student is prepared, teacher appears,
That teacher
sometimes
appears.
yeah, sometimes you just want to hear things. You're doing great. But when people say to you like, yeah, I'm doing great. How it
So
happens.
you mean to say that you were able to get your unit economics better when you transformed to B2B? And B2B also solved your repeatability and scaling issues.
That's right. So bottom line, most definitely. Scalability, yes. Repeatability, yes. Also, love of being able to be process oriented, because we are very process oriented. We got to work with people who were process oriented. We got to learn a lot from corporates, and it was a time we were learning from them, and then slowly, gradually started to tell their organizations what we had offered, because we had accumulative knowledge from like hundreds of organizations, their best practices, what they do at after sales services, and accumulate that. And yes, that's exactly how it kept on developing, Deepak.
So, as of today, what are the key services that you offer, and what is this process that you're talking about that help you stabilize things?
Okay, so we always kept, we wanted to build a niche, like for anyone and everyone. It's said more today because the world is so competitive, and you have to find your space. You have to say that, hey, what is that one thing out of those 100 bouquet of things that we are really, really good at? And amongst B2B, we identified the OEMs to be our primary customers for being able to go out and sell. So people who manufacture furniture is our first vertical that we cater into, and multiple types of furniture. It's a B2B furniture, office desks or school kids, home furniture, selling online or through warehouses. So that entire segment is one that we cater to. Second is the entire sports, cycle equipments, basketball, table tennis, or any gym equipments, treadmills that require a technical person to be able to operate it, to be able to repair it, fix it, maintain it. So that is our second vertical. Then the entire relocation industry in itself really values what we have to offer to them in terms of origin. When they move out of the house, they need handyman on time, prompt services, great experience. Emotions are high of the person moving in, moving out of the house, and at the destination. Retail stores is another space that we explored. And for last 5 years, we have been doing wonderfully well for retail stores. And lastly, appliances, like large appliances, which we do: TV, washing machine, air conditioners, microwave, and all sort of electrical work, senior to junior, from a switch to solar to signages. We cater to everything. So these are the verticals. And talking about the process in terms of, there are like process at multiple levels, right? From at client onboarding the client level to retaining the client, making sure the account is growing month on month, year on year, happiness, survey, feedback, then processes of employees handling the account, how order is placed on the portal, how the order gets processed, how a fitter gets mapped to the requirement of the order, and how the fitter gets to understand what the job requirement is, the process for being able to invoice right things at the right time, with the duration, with the supporting, because when you're working with a corporate, you have to be very document oriented. Like everything needs to be documented and presented. The process of reviews, of being able to get feedbacks, being able to implement those feedbacks at organization level, and in such a way, like all the processes have to be implemented in such a way that they become DNA of the company. Like it becomes automated. Mr. Sarvesh Kanodia just spoke about Manevar, and why the CEO Ravi, Mr. Ravi, he just goes to office 2 days in a week. It's because all the work that is happening at Manevar is process oriented. Like they're one of the rare company which is EBITDA 400% positive. It's
Wow.
brilliant. Yeah, it's a good case study for all the entrepreneurs to see. And yeah, at a process level, processes are messy. Ultimately, when you're creating processes, until and unless it is filled within the DNA of the company, everybody understands it's documented. Till the time it's not documented, and that's what breaks or makes the culture of any organization. Like if the processes are not disciplined or not executed well, no matter how great a resource we hire, but after hiring, if great resources see so much mess, either you're very lucky that they want to clear up the mess, or not so lucky, then people leave the organization and you're not able to build a great culture. So it's, as an entrepreneur, I feel responsible for making sure that every process, once from the thought, everything starts from the head, and then dwell over it, have a right way of communicating to people who are important in the company. Like we call it first in the hierarchy, which is responsible for flowing it everything down in the company. So discuss with them so that it never comes back to them as a surprise. Oh, how is this process? So they have to buy in, the people who are important. So once the people who are important, they buy into the process, then float it amongst everyone else. First, we do it in a verbal way, and immediately, like within an hour or so of our verbal communication of what is amendment or modification in the process, we circulate an email. And if anything new is being implemented in the company, we make sure that there is a person responsible for making sure that it's being tracked down to day in, day out, till the time we know that now it's all right. Now this new thing is become off the part of the main flow. So yeah, so it's interesting because when things are process oriented, it makes easy for us to take a holiday, for us to go back with more energy and put in more work out there for spreading out.
How many handymen are there on your rolls? And how well are you spread out in the country? How many pin codes? This is the parlance these days. So many pin codes served, or at least how many cities served?
So, we're spread out across the country. It started with just one city, North Delhi, and we spread out amongst many pin codes. So amongst 14,000 odd pin codes is where we are. And we intend to, like every month, we keep on exploring and expanding to more and more cities, depending on where the sale is, specifically tier 2 and tier 3 is growing. And yeah, so the scale at which we function is national. Though for some services like the mason tile, glass work we do, that would be limited to like about 120 odd cities. But overall, the carpentry or large appliances business that's spread across the country.
And what proportion of your revenues might be coming from B2B? Most of it?
Yeah, all of it.
All of it, all of it. So since you are so much, I would say you are people dependent, you are skill dependent. So that means you need to make sure that your pipeline of skilled people, your handyman, is always full.
Yes.
So how do you manage that?
When we are in a B2B business, everything has pros and cons. After listening to me, someone may get very motivated to start a B2B business, but it's the challenges we can talk about also. But the good news is that, you can really function in a very, very planned way. All you have to do is you have to meet your commitment, because the other person is so professional, the other organization so professional that they understand you are saying something and delivering exactly what you're saying. So in terms of pipeline of skilled people, we commit to deliver at certain pin codes in certain cities, and in those cities, for the categories that we have committed, we will make sure that our suppliers are available over there, because there is a regular process of identifying who are the people who are attending orders, who are the people who are doing good, who are the people whose performance is dropping, who's getting which grading, what score do they have. And there is a training team whose job is to make sure that they are constantly keeping people engaged. They are constantly making sure that the pipeline is healthy. We also have a way of making sure that we stop onboarding people. Like we have a capping system in every city. Like we will never have people on board who we do not need. We will always get on board because there is a bench. And in this, I really take example of Satyam. And during my campus placement time, we would know a lot about Satyam operations and how they function. And how the bench system works, right? So they have people on bench, and we have people on bench, and that's how we create a pipeline of skilled people. There is there is in the Omidyar India network research that is done, there is 1.25 million people who are blue collared workers, and amongst those people, we are literally working with 0.01% of the people. So it's so easy for us to be able to select the best of the best. Like in the India population, we consider ourselves to be the IIM of the country, one of the top colleges, which only recruits the best people. So we only recruit the people who are the best in terms of their skill, in terms of their behavior, how they carry themselves, how they carry their tools, what device do they have? Do they have a vehicle? What is their understanding about customer service? How is their tone? How do they function? What are the past works that they have done? And then of course monitor their performance at a everyday basis, at every order basis. So skill development in itself, I feel the country in itself is doing a great job. Like the amount of skill development we are talking today, not only ONI, but all the NSDC approach of being able to bring together all the blue collared workers, it's really changing people's mindset in terms of getting better at customer service, and they are able to see the return on investment. Like when a technician goes and invests his great time, great skills, he sees back, hey, because I did good, I got respect, I got better paid, I am able to get another order tomorrow, and I'm able to be a part of a community which takes care of me, which is if I fall sick, if anything happens to me, there is someone who's insured me for making sure that I can claim not only for myself but for my family. I have an I card, I have an identity. So all of this helps me make sure that the retention part is taken care of, because when you take care of your people, like JP Morgan is one great example. So because they are able to take care of their people, they are one of the great companies as an example as well. So creating pipeline of skilled people is something that we want to continue to do. We want to continue to have great processes for making sure that we are finding the right people, retaining the right people, training them in the right way for what they need in external training, and keeping them motivated, self-motivated for retaining and doing great work.
So are these on your payrolls, these people, or are they freelancers who line up with you?
So we find entrepreneurs who are freelancers, people who are independently working right now. They get on our application. Everyone has to have a smartphone, which people normally have in tier 2, tier 3. They have to register and get an eligibility check done. If they're eligible to work with the company, then there is a set process, 4-step process for getting registered, which includes a background verification, their skill verification, etc., self-registration, and they come on board. There are close to 1,400 people that we work across the country. A number of cities is close to 370 cities, and they are all independent, passionate entrepreneurs who get selected, handpicked from smallest of the city of a Guwahati or a Sikkim or a Kanpur, Lucknow, to to Almora, Dehradun, Bageshwar, and it's exciting to work with them. A lot of times people don't understand the concept because, in a small town like Almora, people are like, what? Application kaam aayega, is par kaise aayega, and things like that. But it's just a matter of first order. So once they do the first order, they get the taste of how things work. And thanks to so many delivery companies and food tech, ed tech, health tech, that, the community wherein they live, the surroundings that they have, they see others as well doing professional stuff, and everything in India is getting corporatized. So it's a brilliant time for them to grow as entrepreneurs and get more and more work, which is closer to their home. Everyone doesn't have to come to Delhi or Bombay to get work. People can stay in their city, be close to their family, and get additional work, increase their income, stay motivated for doing the work within their city.
Mentioned NSDC.
Yes.
NSDC has been building an ecosystem for training and certifying, people skilled in various trades, and they've been encouraging, or they've been trying to build policies that encourage organizations to prefer certified workers to non-certified. So much so that even apprenticeship has become a mandate, and it's becoming a very big part of business operations. So do you think that this approach of the government is helping you and others in the service industry to grow your businesses as well?
All right. So, Deepak, I tried to go to ITIs about 7-8 years ago when we were recruiting and we wanted source from where we can get people. We also explored FFSC and Plumbing Skill Council for being able to explore people who are certified. The gap that exists in the ecosystem when it comes to companies like Easyfix and the ecosystem is experience, because people who we get from an ITI is very raw, and the person who B2B expects is is 7-8 years of experience in being able to be hands-on. So I think the gap where I see where we are not able to really capitalize on all the work which is being done by the government is being able to say that, hey, are these they're prior recognized for their skills or not? But there are some areas, like some areas wherein we are really able to understand the 7 years back passed out people from ITIs, and then if we get a hold of those people, then yes, we know that these have been certified. It's really helping the country in a way that we are putting more and more people into the trade. Because what I fear, being a part of the ecosystem, is that this trait is going to going to just get extinguished like dinosaur. Maybe not like dinosaur, but maybe penguins or maybe something else. And they have to be protected, because if people don't enjoy a certain trait and they see that there is something else more exciting, like an automobile work or like a cleaning work, or going to another country and being a server or getting into cooking, or into education or something like that, then how are we going to make sure that this trait survives? So while Skill India is great at being able to do it, I see, going back to your question on, is it helping companies like ours? It is helping, because it is making sure that the pool of people who exist in the ecosystem to be selected from, that is there. And yes, as workers, they're there, and they're doing a great job of finding their own jobs, of finding employment full time, or be entrepreneurs themselves. And then there is this entire line of do whatever to be able to find work. And they have to work under contractors, architects, or most of the time a lot of domination happens wherein they are it's sad. It's really sad that how people who are so rich, they cheat them for their money. They're not paid. And that's one of the reasons why when they come into companies like ours, then there is lack of trust, because they have gone through all of those years of seeing that what you say doesn't happen. So the companies like ours have to be an exemplar of saying that, hey, when we say something, it happens. So it's all going hand in hand, and I'm so excited to see how next 10 years are going to be, and next 3 years and 5 years and 10 years. So exciting time to overall be in the space. And with artificial intelligence coming in and things getting automated, things are just brilliant. Okay, we'll not go off the track. On NSDC Skill India, yes, it's helping us.
But, you said something very interesting about when they come to organizations like you, and then the trust deficit is there, but slowly they realize what's the difference. So this is a very interesting observation. Even I would support this, because if I get a carpenter from the market or a plumber from the market, I don't have the same kind of, even I don't have that kind of a trust in that person, because I don't know his background. I don't know what kind of an experience he's had. But if I were to call up the company and they assign a person from their service department and a plumber who's wearing their uniform or a uniform, then I somehow believe that that person is more dependable.
Yes.
Not just that, I know that I can call up somebody in case of deficiency in service.
Yes, absolutely. It brings in so much trust. Like a community does bring in a lot of trust. Like I spoke about the trust of the handyman that he can have for the trade, for getting his child to say that, all right, it's good for you to be a carpenter. There is something else which is coming up next. Trust at an organization level, at a consumer level first, actually, that you spoke, that as a consumer, you get to experience better services, that you say that, hey, if I have gotten a message that this technician is going to come at your place at 3 o'clock, then it is going to come up. Else I can call that organization and ask for a support. They can be assured. And at a company level itself, they can have the trust that someone will take care of my customer. Ultimately, that this signage which is not working will ultimately start working tomorrow or the day after tomorrow.
And
So,
I
so
think here, pardon my saying that, but a lot of groundwork has been done over here by the Olas and the Ubers and the urban company. They are the people who really change the definition of service of skilled people, particularly during COVID or in the aftermath of COVID. And today it has become a common denominator. We expect that service from everybody.
Meru was one of the first, if you
Yes,
remember, like
yes.
how they started, and they were one of the case studies for us to get to, and how they were putting together all the work of blue collared taxi drivers and giving the services. And of late, urban company, how they have done a spectacular work in being able to spread out the message, like things which many people were not able to do for years. How they had the vision, implemented the vision across the country, about 20 or 30 cities. They are in Dubai actually. And Ola, Uber, just the vision that yes, freelancers model, and if you have a fixed rate card approach, it is workable. So the groundwork for the ground workers as well as for the mindset change, that
Uh,
is it an outsourceable trait? Is it something that I have to build in-house? Like within the company, I need to have all the controls, all the processes in-house? Or is it something which is I'm ready to explore outside of the company? So many times, like now versus 10 years ago, I remember going to meetings and people saying that no, we have it in house. We are not going to outsource it because we're just not like the mindset. And then probably the right decision makers, probably a lot of our maturity in the cycle of developing the product or showcasing the product as well. But now when we look at our sales pitches and incoming leads, people say that my director has said that we have to outsource the entire maintenance vertical. So, you know, there are so many. What do we see? It takes a village to raise a child. To solve a problem, it takes a village to solve a problem. Like more people in this trait of being able to do great work at a blue collared level, gray, whether it's hospitality, whether it's education, whether it's health, or food, any of the work, or for that matter technicians itself. It's amazing how the entire ecosystem is getting converted, and the country in itself is getting to a development phase. So yeah, the ground.
how is the competition landscape shaping up in India for you, for Easyfix?
Uh, so I'm a strong believer in saying that the real competition lies within you. I have somehow the amount of pressure that around me have felt of competition. I have never felt a lot of fear of having competition. Competition's always inspired me actually to be able to do better faster. Like we every week there is a process in the system out of all the processes to shop competition. So we shop competition, we understand what's going on in the market. But as an artist, we call ourselves all artists because we're doing something creative which is not being done before. We always say that we have to look at our entire thing as amateurs. We are really new in the field. There is nothing, we're not great at something, we're something which is already created and we keep on developing it. So in terms of competition, again, I just want to say that the real competition lies within us. And it's good to get inspired, good to keep of what's going in the market, what's new coming up, having great resources that can keep you updated, and always have someone in your company who's responsible for giving you news at a weekly review. So culturally, in our company, the weekly meetings that we have on Friday 10:30 p.m, 10:30 a.m, one of the things that we speak about is what are you hearing from the market? Of course, other than shop competition, what did you hear from the technician or from the consumer, from the client?
Okay, what does growth look like to you next 5 years?
So it's yeah, I think very exciting time. Like I said, next 5 years, a lot of generative artificial intelligence coming into board. Companies who have already adopted to technology, people who have a MySQL or any other database wherein they're storing everything that's happening, it's going to be very interesting for them to automate their processes. And especially in an industry like ours, wherein the costs is a huge part of being able to expand. So when you look at the PNL and when you look at the hockey stick growth, and you look at how much of your cost are you spending in your operational activities. So being able to reduce your operational cost, the manpower cost, and be able to automate things is something which is very exciting. And over next 5 years, I think we're going to see a lot of automation within the industry. We're going to see better estimates in terms of transparency, what is being spent, what is the problem description. We are definitely going to see a unicorn within the industry who's been able to profitably, bottom line positive, be able to make money at a PNL, at a EBITDA positive level. And most definitely a community of much more sophisticated blue-collar workmen, wherein it's actually hardwired in Indian brains that yes, for a cab, I can trust that the Uber is going to come after I just book a service, whether it's a Ola or Uber. Same like that. I feel that in next 5 years, 5 years, it's going to be a much more trusted trait in our country as well. And I hope that because it requires not just me, but then the ecosystem, that the Dehadi system will go away. Like we will not have 1,000 rupees, like 500, 600 rupees an hour. We'll have much more sophisticated pricing for being able to do an hourly work within the trade. I also see that there'll be much more openness to outsourcing versus having that fixed cost in-house. There will be many more companies who will definitely come up in the space. Last 5 years, we have not seen many players come up. 5 years before that, there were around 40, 50 companies which came, which went down, and then there have been nothing. So we'll also see some other companies coming up within the trade.
Yeah, so one very interesting thing which I can see from what you've been describing is that the service aspect of any business going forward is going to become one of the competitive edges for them, be it any brand in any industry. Unless they have a very sharp customer service, which is transparent, which is dependable, those companies are going to have a better staying power in the market.
Are you saying for the manufacturers who are
Yes,
outsourcing?
for your company, for your customers. I'm talking about your types of customers.
There'll always be a mix, like maybe a Bajaj or a Havels may not want to outsource, or maybe they will not even find an outsourcing partner because of the product size, or maybe because of many other reasons. But there will always be companies who don't have such large operations on the ground, and they feel that they want to focus on their core competency of manufacturing rather than having to worry about hiring a technician across the country, having multiple franchisees, their best resources putting into the services team, setting up the network, building the technology, a ticketing software, or getting a software, customizing it as per the culture of the company, and being able to do all the calculation, accounting, how much spent, what spare part, audit mechanisms, training mechanisms, retention mechanism. And this is like entire service team, service department in any corporate. Like it's a team of certain people. And the option that people have the liberty to choose from, like they can definitely choose to say that, hey, I want all of the service franchisees across the country to be on my system, on my CRM, and I want to control it myself. or I want to control it, but through a third party. Like even when they outsource to us, they get all the control. They can meet any technician anytime, log into their performance matrix, say that, hey, this technician I do not want to work with, or these set of technicians I want to do new product training for. So I feel that yes, openness to outsourcing will increase because of the trust. There have been early adopters in the industry who have really experimented and outsourced, like the 120 odd brands that we work with. We call them the early adopters because they wanted to experience and explore and outsource. They have been like great teachers for us as well in terms of giving us feedback, this how we should develop the product, etc. But yes, openness to being able to outsource.
Tell me over here. Let me interrupt you. The early adopter, your first customers, were they just for my curiosity? Were they proprietor-led organizations or were they professionally or corporates?
Okay, I can name them. Like I think Mr. Digambar would love it. I think he's another changing turning point in my life. Mr. Digambar heads AO Smith service team, and we were only Delhi NCR based at that time. And there were the geyser time. It was the winter season time, and they were expanding. It's an American brand, and they were expanding big time in India. It was back in 2012. And when again a article which went to him and he saw, so it is an international MNC company, because I think the mindset comes from there. If it's a XXBB, I can't say the name, but an Indian brand like that, the risk taking capacity is sadly less. Like the mindset is not early adoption. That was one, but then there is Indian second example, which is very Indian company, one very close to me and the entire Easyfix's success story is Pepperfry, which became our second turning point. So after AO Smith came on board, it was the time wherein we said that, all right, if AO Smith user installation, one company, 100 more companies. But the facts are always different from the plan. When we went to other companies which already had their ecosystem, we were like asked to leave. We were like, we are not going to outsource to you. This is like, because appliances industry is already taken. There are already dealers, they're doing it, and outsourcing doesn't seem like. But then what next? So furniture was something which was really coming up very, very well. We were selling online everywhere. And we wrote to Pepperfry, Mr. Ashish, and then he said that, yeah, Shaifali, why not? Let's explore. So it was for the first time, I think, in the entire history that companies, which was a furniture manufacturer, outsourced at a rate card. We made a rate card from scratch.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And after that success, after 10 out of 10 e-com furniture sellers, we had 8 of them on board. And that's when the real competition started to come up. Then the rest is history. They were all early adopters, were both one international and second entrepreneur.
I've been following you on LinkedIn, and I see that you are a great creator of culture in your organization. You keep your team together, you motivate them, encourage them, you spend a lot of time with them, family time as well. What's happening there? What are you doing to strengthen, how is that turning out?
So, how I say that having fun is extremely important.
You also said that entrepreneurship is a sport.
Entrepreneurship is a sport.
Articles.
Absolutely, it is. And, culturally, I like positivity around me, as a person. And that has to be seen at multiple levels. And I was very fortunate to go to the IVLP program that happened in US across multiple cities. And what we learned was that team building is one of the extremely important part that can make you successful. So, some things you do because you have to do and they make you successful. So you have to learn how to do those things, whether it's leadership, whether it's team building, it's culture building, discipline building, data driven, or anything like that. Coming back to culture, I think culture in our company comes from a lot of great examples of companies like Google, who we follow, like in terms of how they make sure that the company employees are retained. How do we hire the right talent? How do we make sure that the company's purpose, value system is communicated to the everyone in the organization? How repeatability of our value system matters so much. So, as an entrepreneur, being in my chair, it's my responsibility to be hands-on first. Things I cannot do myself, I cannot expect anyone else to do. And things that I do for myself in the company, I should let others do as well. So, there's a framework that personally I follow, and I think that I speak about it on LinkedIn as well, which is having a great work life. Health is the second circle. Third is having a social life, friend circle, work, health, social, family, and self-development. So these are the 5 circles in which I have to make sure that I feed myself every day. All 5 circles are fed every day.
Amazing.
And that's what I try and bring on the table as well. I tell everyone in the company to make sure that your personal life is not compromised at all. When people come and tell me I'm going on a 10-day trek, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like, as an entrepreneur, I never feel sad or wow, the work, because we'll manage. Yeah, I think.
But you've been a sports person yourself. You learned scuba diving in 2015 while
Yeah.
you were at Easyfix, and then you took up karate as well, I think.
Yes.
And then
I
you went on to win a gold medal in some US competition.
Yes, that's amazing. Now, we have to have health as one of very important things in our life, like all of us, not just entrepreneurs, everyone who's living. If we are able to take care of our health, our well-being, then it's so much easy to take care of everyone else. So I just got my black belt last month. I failed in Sweden examination, but then I reapplied and I got my black belt. And it's one thing which has constantly moved with me from a white belt in 2011-12, around the same time when I started Easyfix, to being here. And we have both Easyfix and karate have moved together.
Very
But
interesting.
yes, scuba diving and everything. I love adventure. Like, when I would say this to everyone who's an entrepreneur, that never compromise your own self. You have your dreams, you have your ambition, work very hard towards achieving it, do whatever you have to, because you're an entrepreneur like 247. You're not like 8 hours an entrepreneur and something else and something else. Your life is entrepreneurship. And when I got an opportunity, whether it was skiing or scuba diving or surfing or anything, I've traveled like about 25 odd countries while I was doing Easyfix. I've traveled across the country, I've done things. And culturally, we tell this as well, like, just do everything, have your goals intact, where you want to head, and around that, whatever joy life gives you, take it.
One phrase of yours, which I read from your article, which you wrote, was that if you are beaten, either back out, exit, or get back on the tatami stronger. I love that. I love that. With that, Shaifali, I would like to thank you for coming to the IKC Community Show. It's been wonderful talking to you. I know we could carry on, but we need to. I've run out of my queries, which I listed out. Let me make some notes and I'll catch up with you again.
It was so lovely catching up with you. It's always great to exchange notes with you, Deepak. Thanks so much for having me here and letting me share my experiences of being in the industry, a part of the community. It's always a pleasure.